Hey everyone. So, after you hopefully saw my little showcase of Auron earlier today, let's talk about Auron in the review. So, let's get right into it. He's our latest premium unit, super limit burst as well. He functions as a super limit burst finisher. He has no brave shift sadly, which kind of makes him a lot worse in many ways compared to Sephiroth. But I hope you guys also watched my comparison video with Sephiroth, because this one, to be quite honest, I'm expecting everyone who watches this video to also have watched the comparison video with Sephiroth, because I answer a lot of questions in there that will for sure get asked here otherwise. So if you haven't watched it yet, please watch my Sephiroth versus Auron comparison video. I think it's really good when it comes to comparing the two units. They do the same essentially, but yeah, they only have different elements, but Sephiroth should be the better pick. Anyway, let's check out his kit. So Auron's kit, much like Sephiroth's kit, is very bare bones. It just looks fancier because he has a few more abilities than Sephiroth, but ultimately most of these, as you can see, Power Break, Magic Break, they are, 10x physical damage, 70% breaks. These really scream like 5-star era abilities and not Neo Vision at all. And a Guardian's Duty is the greatest letdown of all Neo Vision, especially premium Neo Vision units. It's a 280% attack buff, 200% LB buff. This is, they are selling him as a premium unit, and I've said this in my comparison video with Sephiroth already, but this is an insult to everyone who's pulling for him, basically. Especially when considered that the SLB only buffs him by 250 attack and 200 LB anyway, so this ability is basically useless. The only thing it does is 30% points more attack, but that's about it. The wind up is also cool, 50%, but compare this to Sephiroth, and this looks like a huge joke when you consider that both of them cost the same amount, 60k for a pity. So it's bad. His critical strike, yeah, it sounds cool on paper, but it has a 5% chance to miss, and it's just a single hit. And another thing I should mention is he has no chaining abilities. So all that you see here is single hit. He has no chain abilities. And that is one of the upsides of Sephiroth too. He has many chaining abilities. Well, two chaining abilities. That includes his auto attack, by the way. So auto attack and plus the one ability he has in his base or brave shift that can chain. The passives of Auron, they are decent. He has a lot of LB boost already. He gains, or he has 300% attack through double hand, but I just can't. I am at loss at words, because compare this to NVA Titus. When you equip NVA Titus with Colored Bulk, he not only maxes out on attack percent, but he also immediately maxes out on true double hand. Why can't a premium unit have this? You are forced to play Guardian of Light Riku or any other combination of 2 equipment pieces, or 1 equipment piece, 1 materia, to gain the last remaining 100%. And this is especially bad for a super limit burst unit, where when you're facing a boss that wants you to use resistances or passive provoke or evasion, you will have to sacrifice even more slots that killer materials and attack equipment pieces are fighting for, thus further devaluing his whole value, pretty much. When it comes to actual real-world fights, super limit burst units, especially the kind of Auron, they just fare worse to brave shift units. Titus is a very great example of how to do it right, because Titus is super flexible, capping out on attack percent and LB and true double hand attack by just equipping his Super Trust Master. That's great. That's good unit design. The LB damage, yeah, you can easily cap this. And from there on out, it's super easy to cap killers, it's easy to do resistances. That's good, that's really good, I like it. But Auron, he fails in that category miserably. Let's check out his Trustmaster and Super LB and Super SLB. That was one too many. Anyway, the regular LB, much like Sephiroth's, is just a 200x wind, whereas Sephiroth is dark. And the SLB, this is the part where we're all looking for, is a 25 Katana Imperil, 80% defense break, just like Sephiroth. Compared to Sephiroth, though, he increases physical magical damage. Why magical, nobody knows, but I guess it's fine. If you want to steal with Xorn to plants and fairies by 100%. I find this a little bit weak though, to be honest. Should have been 200% for a premium unit. But he deals 350x wind physical damage. So on par with Sephiroth, that's to be expected for a premium unit. But all in all, it's just okay. He only has a 125 wind imperil. Now I have to sneeze. Oh, that feeling when you want to sneeze but don't. The worst. Anyway, the point I was making is it's on par with Sephiroth. It just feels lackluster because he doesn't have a Brave Shift. His Trustmaster is an 80% attack material with 50% Esper bonus stats, and I honestly like it for what it does. And I personally had a few cases where I was capped on killers, but wasn't really capped on attack percent. I missed like maybe 20 or 10%, and this material would have helped. I mean, it's bonus stats. When I use GF extension a lot, when there's only one race to fight against, so that's pretty cool. It's a nice to have material, honestly, and I will probably use this a couple of times in the near future. Like there's a high chance that I'm gonna use this on the final Dark Vision boss this month. And the Super Trustmaster, that is the huge letdown, to be honest. It's 80 attack, 1000 HP. The huge letdown is coming now. It's 500 static attack and 50 LB damage, but only for FFX and X2 units only. And this is the reason why I think this accessory is bad, because the best thing about this, the LB damage, is locked to the series. So, I mean, it does have a great attack stat. That's great, but when it comes to direct comparison with Avalanche's Tifa, I would prefer Avalanche's Tifa's accessory STMR all the way, all day. The other thing that makes it super bad, in my opinion, is that this does not stack. So, having two of these, yeah, you could slap one on Tidus, one on Auron, that'd be cool, but you cannot do two on Auron and get 1000 static attack. That's not working, or nor do you get 100 LB. That's also not working. So that's a huge letdown. I don't know why they only gave this treatment to Final Fantasy VII Remake. Maybe they just like 7 Remake like I do, but should have been stackable, in my opinion. The Vision card from that famous scene at the intro of Final Fantasy X when you completed the tutorial basically of the game and Tidus gets sucked up to wake up. I think it's far later in the storyline, but yeah. He wakes up and gets to know Waka shortly thereafter. So it is a premium card unlocking at EX plus 3, 125 attack, base attack, 80% attack, 100 fairy killer, 500 static attack. I feel like, or I should say, I would have preferred LB damage 50% instead of the 80% attack of this. But I get the reason for doing it, because Auron actually caps LB fairly easily with his STMR and the Chronicle weapon. But I mean, come on, it was such an obvious choice to just give this Vision card 50% LB damage, and they didn't. But on the other hand, this is still a superb card just for the 100% Fairy Killer alone. Like, Fairy Killer has become one of the rarest things, and I personally like that it's 100% added. I mean, yeah, we don't get the 500 static attack on other units other than FFX, but truth be told, the Fairy Killer makes it worth it. So it's nice, I like it, and if I am going to get more Aurons in the future, I will stack them and hopefully get another EX plus 3 Vision card sometime in I don't know, a year or two. But anyway, it's a good card in general. Alright, let's get to the damage calculation, or the damage showcase, so to speak. So the usual assumptions, nothing's really changed here. So pause the video if you haven't read this yet. And we're moving on. So this is an exemplary Auron build against the demon. As per usual, I only do builds towards races the units are not innately good against. A demon is the most common one. But it's still, as you can see, a decent build. I purposefully did not use the crown from Clash here. I could have, but that's not a fair comparison. So in reality, he may or may not sim higher, but chances are you will never use the crown and the clothes on a single unit. You want to spread these goods out because of the chain cap increase. But yeah, other than that, very solid build. He gets to use GF extension, which is cool. 10,690 attack. Pretty good, pretty good. So let's check out the result here. And unsurprisingly, when streamlining all the buffs, Legendary Guardian Auron sims just a little bit higher than Sephiroth. It's 0.6% more damage than Sephiroth, or in absolute values 55 million more than Sephiroth at max variance. And it really comes down to A, Auron having a little bit more attack than Sephiroth, B, the lock formula giving him a slight advantage due to the higher weapon attack, and C, the reason why this is so close is that Auron only has a 25 wind field and a 130% wind wind imperil, whereas Sephiroth is using a 30% dark field and a 135% dark imperil. So that is the reason why Sephiroth is closer here. The reality is, though, that once we enter the realm of double race bosses, it is far more likely that Sephiroth is going to end up ahead, because in that case, Auron cannot use GF extension, and without GF extension, that 0.6% advantage over Sephiroth becomes negative. So Sephiroth will be ahead. Alright, but still, keep in mind that this is totally neglecting resistances, and thus meaning that Sephiroth is going to tank a lot in terms of damage when you have to account for resistances or evasion for that matter. Sephiroth can just do it all in Brave Shift in his base form. So how does he fare in the meta? Well, he sims very high. In fact, he's #1. He does have the huge downside of being an SLB unit and thus be very, very vulnerable to bosses needing you to have resistances or requiring evasion. He's straight up unusable in Clash of Wills due to the above, because, well, he has no Brave Shift. His main selling point is there is a small typo in here, excuse me for that. It is the 100% Fairy Killer vision card. That is really good though. And I should say, you've seen this hopefully in my Behemoth clear. He's a great pick for quick turn 3 or turn 4 clears though. So that's okay, right? If you don't care about dark visions, don't care about Clash, just want to get it over with, yeah, Auron is a good pick, but so is Sephiroth. Sephiroth does the same basically in 3 turns too. Another thing that you should keep in mind is that he has absolutely no chains, making him a worse pick over Sephiroth. Like, I used Sephiroth in Vision World last month for the 100 chain score part of Vision World. You can't do that with Auron unless you use the Bolting Strike materia from High Summoner Braska, but that would mean you would be sacrificing GF extension in this case for that materia, and that is losing you about 100 or so attack. And losing about 100 attack is kind of a deal breaker, because he will then lose against Sephiroth in that comparison. He has no decent breaks, although he was a breaker in Final Fantasy X, and he has no 130 or 135 Imperil to Wind. I know Sephiroth doesn't have this either, but Auron is a super limit burst unit, and I fully expect super limit burst units to have better imperils than brave shift units, because these SLB units, they don't have a brave shift. So I want them to have better things just to make them worthwhile. So yeah, that begs the question, should you pull? The honest answer is, unless you're chasing top 10 or top 50 spots in Dark Visions or Vision World, you should not pull. Unless you're a huge fan of Auron, you should not pull. Do not do this to yourself. He is a premium unit. You will get shafted when you spend the 60k, and you've been warned. Do not fall the FOMO, that is fear on missing out, when people use Auron in this month's Dark Visions to score high. I will use my EX plus 3 Auron against the final boss, but it doesn't mean that people such as Sinsar will be close to me regardless, because Sinsar usually has great strats and he can catch up in terms of damage to me just by outsmarting me, for example. So while Auron is great and he will probably net me a higher score than people without him, I do want to fight for top 50, so that's why I pulled for him. And if you don't care, I mean, whether you're top 50 or top 100, the rewards are essentially the same. So it's just for bragging rights or my own goals, because I like to compete. And I got him for very cheap, to be honest. Like, I got plenty lucky when going for Auron. I didn't even have to go to pity, so that was pretty good. Anyway, that is it. So don't pull for him unless you really like the unit or want to score high in Dark Visions. That is the gist of it. Thank you all for watching. I hope this was helpful to you. We'll see each other tomorrow for the second day of Dark Visions. It's gonna be just mainly brain dead ODK strats. I will hopefully be able to do one additional video on Sunday. It's going to be either top 5 underrated units or top... there was another suggestion that I wanted to do. I forgot about it, but I wrote it down. So there's 2 videos I still want to make, but I think I will do the top 5 underrated units first. I do have my uni term paper to do though. I am very, very behind on it. I just have until January 10th to hand it in. So I might take Sunday and Monday off to focus on that. But we'll see. It entirely depends on how I progress with this term paper. Anyway, enough talk. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful rest of the morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're from. And see you tomorrow for Dark Visions. Bye bye.